today. The first item up is school community session, public participation, and there's nobody in the room. Is there anyone online who would like to participate in the meeting?
No one has their hand.
Okay. Item number 3, Board of Education Student Representative Report. Do we have Isabel or Lucy with us tonight? Great. Hi, Lucy.
When will they be in person again?
Yeah.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, Lucy.
Hi.
Hey, Lucy.
So we've got some really exciting news. I think I just heard some commentary on it that we just got our mask mandate lifted. So as of Monday, the masks were off. And teachers, students, administration alike realized kind of an increase in energy level, as this was the first time in almost 2 years that we have been able to have face-to-face contact in school buildings. So that was a really momentous occasion, and I think everyone really enjoyed that break. More personally, I definitely did. And the message went out to all the teachers. I believe it was Friday, to just kind of tell kids, be respectful, know that masks are a choice, and respect that opinion whether to wear a mask or not. And from all my experience, everyone has respected everyone else's opinion whether to wear a mask or not. So it was good to see the school community coming together in that way, supporting one another. Another positive, winter sports seasons are mostly in the postseason, whether that's SECs or states. Huge congratulations to our gymnastics team, just won the Class S state championship. I believe they have the most wins in the state. So just a huge congratulations to Coach Kelly Smith and the team. On the other end of things, wrapping up, trimester 2 is almost done. I think we've got less than a week left of real scheduled classes. Exams start 11th, 14th, and 15th. So in my classes, we've started talking about that, getting prepared. And as students and teachers requested, we're going back to the half an hour time slot in between the kind of morning versus afternoon exam. So that'll give people a chance to recoup, kind of have a little bit more time in between exams, rest up a little before going into another gauntlet, so to speak. With every T2 ending, there's always a trimester 3 beginning. So that's something to look forward to. And our year-end events, all the seniors just got the notification about like prom, class trip, graduation, all those dates have been scheduled. Those went out to senior families recently. So I'm not a senior myself, but I'm sure they're all super excited for that. All those cumulative events that everyone looks forward to in their high school career. Both proms are full steam ahead, no restrictions on guests or masks, which is something really great, something we for a time thought we would never be able to say. No restrictions. And then there's been talk of a homecoming and a pep rally. There's more information to come on this. The student body will meet and decide if this is something good to happen, but that would also be in the spring around prom. And Night in Hand is actually working alongside administration to put on a prom dress fundraiser. So prom dresses will be brand new prom dresses, some with the tag still on, will be available for sale at Daniel Hand on March 25th for a really discounted price. And there's more info to come on that really shortly within the next couple of days. That's all I have, but do you guys have any questions?
Thank you, Lucy. Any questions? I was very happy to hear that, at least from your perspective, the students are being kind to one another in unmasking, as well as those that need to continue to wear their masks. And
yeah, definitely.
Good news.
Huge level of respect for sure.
Any other questions? Well, we will allow you to go do some homework. Oh, wait, we do it. We have one more question. I'm sorry. Lucy.
Can you speak to, is there a pathway for student government within the classes and so forth of conveying issues, concerns, things to you and Isabel for presenting to the board?
Yeah, so Isabel and I actually attend the monthly student leadership meetings. So when those are going on, we're getting a direct pipeline, engaging in that conversation ourselves of the student leadership. Yeah. Did that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Thank you, Lucy. Have a good night.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Leslie.
Bye, thank you.
So next we have item number 4, Superintendents Report. Dr. Cook.
Yes, so with today being the first day of March, March is Board Member Appreciation Month. And on behalf of the entire district, I'd like to thank the Board of Education for their commitment and service to Madison Public Schools. What we see at the board table represents really just a small fraction of what it means to be a board member, preparing for meetings, reading large documents, answering emails, phone calls, getting stopped in the grocery store or any other store, or just having people show up on your front lawn, I've heard before, is all part of serving on the Board of Education, as well as, you know, town committees, board committees, and things like that. So thank you on behalf of the Madison Public Schools and certainly the children of Madison for your service to the school system. We obviously could not run the district without your service, and you know, put so much time in and commitment. It's really great to see, and it's been phenomenal my 2 years here working with the Board of Education. So thank you. We left you a very small token of appreciation from the district.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And next item was COVID update with Friday's CDC announcement very late. We went through our normal process over the weekend, so we had conversations with administrators, contacted Gail right away on Friday, and we started that process and talked to principals, talked to the bus company, and we're able to put in place that masks would be optional on transportation as well. We do still have occasionally when student athletes may be going to compete in another town that has a mask mandate in place, they would need to follow that town's procedures. A good example was last night when our boys played in New Haven and wore masks for their game against St. Joe's, or but they had a game in New Haven that they had to wear masks. Today we were informed that Connecticut DPH is in the process of adopting new CDC indicators of community transmission. These would be indicators that we would use to determine whether we were having higher transmissions within the community area. They are looking now beyond just towns into broader areas, because I think they're looking at you know, hospitals and as well, you know, beyond. So I think that's a much better measure than just say a town which could have a slight jump in 1 week and then, you know, decrease the next week. So I think we'll be much steadier as we look forward, and we haven't really received a different guidance since the start of the 2020 school year. So it's good to have that. So we're working through that. Like I said, we just received that this morning, so we'll utilize that. And just to really appreciate what Lucy shared, but that's also been Gail and my assessment as we've gone through the buildings this week, is that there's been, you know, really a renewed energy in the buildings. There's been you know, a sense of real normalcy, and students, whether they were wearing masks or not wearing masks, we're all treating each other with respect. And you know, there's still a good percentage of students that are wearing masks and staff members, and so that's been really appreciated, I think, by all. And I think there's been some really good work by the principals to get ready for that. So I'm really excited about that. But I think it's been really nice. And so for myself, going into the buildings for the first time in my time in Madison, you know, with students and staff with their masks up, it's really been nice to be part of that. So we're excited about that. Wanted to share some information on the school renewal plan, and this may mirror some of the things you'll hear in the facilities committee, because we had a facilities committee meeting just before this, and we have our school facilities director, Bill McMinn, here tonight to answer any questions of the board or add anything that I might miss throughout. I think one of the great things that Bill started in my work with him, and then we heard as we talked to other school districts who've gone through major projects like this, is to do as much work up front, assuming a positive referendum as you can. And so Bill had been doing that really throughout. We had weekly meetings to get ready for this exciting time. And let me just say as well, I think that brought a lot of energy and excitement to the schools. And so, I had staff say, we're going to get air conditioning, and and staff's excited and already asking questions we won't be able to answer for another couple of years, but it just showed that they were really excited about that. And so I think that was again something I've seen that in the community as well, people I've talked to. So in terms of the new construction, last evening the Board of Selectmen has approved the draft charge for the building committee. So the building committee is very important in this process. We expect that charge to be approved on March 8th. The building committee is appointed by the Board of Selectmen and has significant responsibilities in the design and construction of the new school. We expect the Board of Selectmen to have an application process for citizens to join the committee. And so we'll share information as soon as we have that, but we're moving along at a pretty good clip and expect that to be done this month. We're also working on an RFQ and RFP, which is posted right now for an owner's rep. And so that is due in the middle of this month on March 16th. And so this owner's rep would be a professional firm hired to guide the building committee and the district and the Board of Selectmen in the process. And so we expect that will be selected by the end of this month. And again, this is well within the timeframes that we a little bit earlier than the timeframes we had actually anticipated. So we're pleased with the start of that process, and thanks to Bill for getting that moving and moving that forward. Another part of the process is the Brown School. So we're working on an RFP for architectural services right now. This project would be overseen by the School Facilities Committee. It's intended to release that in March as well, and the work would be expected to start in the summer of 2023. A lot of work will be done to lead up to these projects, but that would be the start of the Brown School project, and we'd have plenty of time still to complete that by the fall of 2025. We've completed some preliminary design work on the building just to really see how things would come together, and it's exciting to get those results and see that. In terms of Polson, it's a pretty big project over here, as was shared with the facilities committee. We're reviewing professional services for how that would work. We're waiting for the owner's rep, as mentioned, under the new school part to help us out with that. The scope of the project is a major HVAC work throughout half of this building that does not have the ductwork right now for air conditioning, but it also would bring better HVAC to the entire building, and then also an auditorium renewal that's, as the board knows, is well needed. And so that is exciting for the district. Concurrently, we're looking at this building being a shelter for the town, being a coastal community. That's certainly a need, and working very closely with the town of Madison to get that done, and also looking at grant opportunities, I would say, for all three projects, but in particular this one, there's been new grant opportunities released by the governor, and you can just give some more information on that today for air quality in schools and matching fund for the district. And so if we can utilize that, we would be able to ensure we have a really high quality project, and maybe even be able to have money available to return to the town or put towards the more on the auditorium project. The last item I just wanted to share with the board, we will commence our interview process for a new athletic director this month. We had posted the job for all of February, had a good amount of interest, so we were excited to start that process, and we expect to do some screening interviews and then have full round 1 and round 2 interviews this month. And we would, like has been tradition with the district administrator hire such as this, we would have asked for a board member for round 1 and a board member to sit on round 2 panel. So we have some dates on that. I will share that with the board. But if you could notify Mr. Klaskin or myself that you're interested, and we'll look at that. Like I said, I'll get the dates out to you after this meeting. It'd be a full day on both of the days. So if you're available for that, that would be great. The final candidate is brought before the board, so the full board will see the finalists as we get to that point. And then tomorrow, as the board knows, is the Board of Finance public hearing at 7 p.m. right here in the Polson Auditorium and Zoom. And so we'll be presenting and answering the questions at that point on the budget. That's my report.
Any questions for Dr. Cook?
I have a question about the AD interview. I'm wondering, there's a board member that will be part of the interview process, but what other people would be involved in that?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So
Yeah.
we would be utilizing parents, coaches,
Okay.
staff members, administration. So we've got some good interest. We talked to several parents that have had athletes in currently or have had significant presence in Polson as well, because I think that's very important for the new athletic director to have a lot of connection to Polson.
Okay, great.
So, yeah. Good interest from parents on it, as you can imagine.
Good, yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. Like, it's nice to have that be involved.
Any other questions for Dr. Cook? Seeing none, thank you very much. Next item on the agenda, item number 5 is audience response to information presented. Again, we have no audience in the room. Wendy, is anyone raising their hand to comment? No? Okay. We actually forgot to put it on this agenda, but I'm going to squeeze in real quick here board member comments. That's a general feature of all our agendas. So I would like to start by just thanking the whole community for supporting the school's renewal plan in the February 15th referendum. We look forward as a board to helping to bring forward an amazing project that will positively benefit the students for generations to come. So thank you very much. Anyone else?
I would like to just commend Lucy's comment about the students being respecting each other about their choices. I think that the students are leading a wonderful example for our whole community to follow. Kids are amazing and resilient, and I'm so glad to hear that there is they continue to be respectful to each other about the choices that they make, and we can learn a lot from them. And I just wanted to thank Lucy for sharing that, and thank the students of this district for modeling a wonderful behavior around that.
And I can say too that Paulson, from what I know, the same thing happened in Paulson today, this week. Kids are very respectful.
Yeah.
Some kids had hands, some didn't, but no one made an issue.
That's wonderful.
Everyone felt good.
Good, and that's what matters.
Yeah. Any other comments?
I've come. I just wanted to say thank you to the community for voting through the facilities renewal plan, because we desperately need new facilities, and I'm glad that it was recognized, and we'll work hard to give the community what we need.
Anyone else? Okay, seeing none, thank you very much. We will move on to our item number 6 on the agenda, Board of Selectmen Liaison. Scott Murphy informed me that he has a conflicting meeting this evening, so he will not be able to attend our meeting. He did want me to mention that the Board of Selectmen in their budget meeting last night voted unanimously to forward our Board of Ed budget at 1.66% without cuts directly to the Board of Finance for their consideration. So again, a unanimous vote And we greatly appreciate that. And we look forward to working with the Board of Finance and hopefully getting further passage of our recommended budget. Thank you. So other than that, Scott's not here, but we'll move on to the next item, which is our consent agenda. I need a motion to approve the consent agenda. So moved.
Second.
And seconded by, I'm sorry, Dr. Diane. All right. I'm sorry, any discussion on the consent agenda? Hearing none. All in favor, raise your hand, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Any abstentions? The ayes have it, carries 9-0. All right, thank you all. The next item is board committees and liaison updates. And we will start with Stephen Pinn with the Curriculum and Student Development Committee report.
Yes, we began our meeting at 5:33 this evening and present with all members of the committee, Jen Gordon, Kathy Miller, and myself, with Seth also present. The focus of the meeting was the district seeking board approval for adopting the art curriculum, and the art curriculum as written spans from grade 6 through the high school curriculum. The presentation began with our assistant superintendent explaining a little bit about the process in terms of writing, which began with a subset of about 7 teachers, which is a smaller group than we've seen in other curricular areas in 2019. And then there were staff changes, so that group changed. And then there was shortage where some of the heads of the committee had to go into the classroom. And then there was COVID. And so where they couldn't meet in person, and we're doing that virtually. But regardless of those obstacles, they did complete the task and made a presentation this evening. And used one particular strand, drawing strand, as the example, but spoke to the process that began with sampling student interest in terms of the courses that they would like to see, and then sampling other stakeholders, teachers and others as they began that process. Central to the writing of that curriculum was trying to center it around what they call the creative cycle, which is a process where students identify their work, they work on the skills, they get feedback from others, peers, and from teachers, and then adjust their work, and that cycle continues. It was pointed out that that approach was really geared for trying to nurture the process of creating over necessarily the product. Built into that process is performance-based assessments. So as students progress through the courses, part of how they're assessed is based upon the products that they're producing. Looking to the future, in the presentation, they would like to see some more cross-credited courses with humanities, with the intent of being able to expand the application of art into a broader view, and other applications beyond the restricted art curriculum. Also a value in the future was looking at and building support for social emotional learning through the art. I think of the greatest importance was the discussion that followed the presentation on by the part of the board members. Kathy in particular spoke to the passion that teachers have and the qualitative aspect of the arts in terms of enriching their school experience, enriching their life. Part of that discussion then moved to how does a curriculum committee look at an extensive curriculum that has so many different courses in specific detail and do analysis in terms of making recommendations to adopt it. And that was explained as doing it against the template of the mission statement and profiles of a graduate and the action plan. The curriculum that's extensive that all of the board members reviewed is very specific in terms of the precise skills of the courses. And the discussion from the standpoint of the board was, we appreciate that those skills are important and we're not looking in any way to reduce those. But in the written curriculum, there seemed to be an absence of the kind of quality goals that were reflected in their presentation and the discussion. So the team was encouraged to do further work around trying to build these things that clearly they had passion around and value in terms of the art curriculum. And, a particular note was the idea that, art historically was often viewed as a peripheral versus a core subject. But as the 21st century is a core skill in terms of creative thinking and entrepreneurial thinking, and that should be viewed that way. So, to make a long story short, we are recommending that the board adopt and approve the curriculum as it's written, with the proviso that we understand this is a continuing process, and we're encouraging them to go and do further work in terms of writing into the curriculum what they clearly value beyond just the precise skills of those courses. And I encourage any other members of the committee to add anything that I may have missed from that. And we adjourned at 6:33. There was no public comment at the time.
Steve, could I just add, during that discussion, it was pointed out that because of COVID especially, that interfered with their creative process to reimagine the curriculum, but also because the curriculum requirements at the state level had changed on them in the interim. And we wanted to just make sure that everyone recognizes that the recommendation of the committee to pass this tonight, when we take action on it, is predicated on the recognition that in very good faith, those passionate teachers on the committee, the curriculum writing committee, understandably were stuck with a mechanical situation of dealing with COVID and dealing with changing state requirements. So we recognize and want to reward the fact that they were able to get through that initial run, and they made some significant headway in finding some creative ways to help improve the curriculum, and we absolutely honor that. And the encouragement going forward is literally just to say, you know what, let's unleash you guys to do what we know you really want to do, and that's the charge that we gave them. I think that's the best way to describe it. That we thought they did a very good job, but we know they want to do more, and so we invited them to, and we kind of told them explicitly that this particular curriculum committee and most likely the board would support their work in adding that creative dimension that we sent them back to try.
Thank you. Well said.
I have some questions. So actually, my questions are for Gail. I'm glad that you're here. So when it, on the slide that it said new course offerings, it has a listing of the names of the old courses on one side and the new courses on the other. And so looking at the old courses, it pretty much, I think it's obvious that you have to take drawing 1 before you take drawing 2, et cetera, with the 1s and the 2s. And the new courses, there's less, and they're sort of renamed. So I guess my question is like, is the drawing new course, is that like the equivalent of drawing 1 and 2? Did it change the credit hours at all? Did it like what changed with it?
Yeah, the idea was that we wanted to make drawing 1 and 2 more accessible to all students at various levels. So we felt that drawing 2 was the prerequisite was drawing 1, and that limited some students from continuing in art. So we made it more inclusive with a lot of different levels that we were addressing within the course.
So then all of these new courses, except maybe animation 1 and 2, are sort of standalone courses and not a prerequisite for the other?
Yeah, I think there's one, Diane, that might have a prerequisite as you get up to the higher levels, the AP. AP has a prerequisite, I believe, of painting and drawing studio,
Okay.
as most AP courses do. All AP courses do.
And then one of the neat things they did, Diane, was that, and again, this is why we really appreciate the work they did so far, is they recognized that having a bunch of prerequisites that were so focused on a particular skill set was preventing some students from being able to advance to get a broader concept of different art media. So they converted some of the prerequisite courses into survey courses so that they could experience a broader range while still getting skills. Is that fair to say?
Well, perfect.
That was my only question. Thank you.
I don't have a question about the curriculum per se. I just like to thank you, Steve, because I wasn't able to make the meeting, but I always feel as if I were there. Thanks to your minutes. And then secondly, I love to see examples of the students' artwork because they're just astonishing, talented. And so, you know, as we maybe go back to the Hamill room or any other place that we have a chance to see it, because it's really a testimony to the teachers and the kids who do a great job.
Thank you for your support as a board, and I also wanted to share that you know, the encouragement was well received by the presenters tonight. So we're excited to be able to continue to add in and also make a statement of philosophy before we come back by the end of the year.
Thank you.
Gail, would we be able to share with the board and even with the public the link to Claire's the feature
Yes.
thank you.
Yeah, I think that was a public posted link, so I think we
Okay.
could do that. But I'll check with Bill and we can put that up in the art area of the
Yeah.
curriculum website.
I would encourage every board member and the public to really go watch that. It was such a moving piece, and it spoke so much to all of the things that the kids are learning and how they turned around and really utilized that wheel of creativity and all, like there was just so much inherent in that piece. I would really encourage you to go watch it. It's really good. Makes you proud.
Thank you. Any other questions for Steve? No? Okay, thank you, Steve. Let's move on to the Facilities Committee. Emily.
Yes, the facilities committee met this evening. We did talk about the Brown K-5 project as well as the Polson Improvement Project. Much of that was covered in Dr. Cook's presentation. One thing I did just want to emphasize is, as you heard, the plan is to start work in the summer of 2023 compared to the summer of 2024. And one significant reason is that we expect that will save us about $500,000 to do it a year in advance. So I think that is noteworthy. And also, as we hope to do major construction over the summer, the way that the Brown School is laid out, along with the plans, there is the option to do some minor work during school sessions, because that area of the school can be sort of separate from the children during learning times. And then otherwise, you really heard about the Polson work. That's definitely, as you heard, significant complicated as it's energy and mechanical focused. So we'll be looking forward to more information. We talked about Gantt charts from the past and to look forward to new Gantt charts for the project, so we can sort of see the timelines as we move forward and how it all works towards our end goal there. Bill also in his general facilities update gave us brief updates on the Polson entry work and the Brown entry work. Those are on schedule for the summer. The leak in Jeffrey School has been addressed. That was a fairly significant issue that required some roofing work. While we will have a new school, we still need to make the school work for us for the next couple of years. So that has been addressed. On that same note, there are some issues with the modular units at Town Campus and at Jeffrey. Those, as you know, are from 2000 and the rooftop units are failing. So that will continue to be addressed, as well as the rooftop units at the high school. We also had a brief update about availability of feminine hygiene products at Daniel Hand and at Polson. This will be providing products to students at no cost as part of a sort of collaboration led by a student civic action project. So it's nice to hear that students are involved with that project and have a say in the process and selection of products that will be available to students. So stay tuned on that. In addition, just an update, Brown and Polson are both doing asbestos work this summer, so they will be totally offline. Summer school will be held at Daniel Hand and some programs at Ryerson as well. We did not have any public comment and we adjourned at 7:10. In a report, no question. Yes, Diane.
With the facility renewal plans, are we planning to have like on our website, like continual updates to keep the public informed of where we are in the process and where we're going and that sort of?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things I've been asked, just having that chance just to kind of write an internal memo, which I certainly share with the board and public, but just to the staff about like when we think the timeline is and things like that. Because I think some people were expecting ground to break, a longer down the road. But I think,
No one else should.
but I think it's important for us to do that. I mean, it's a huge investment from the community, and it'd be nice to be able to show whether it's pictures or just the naming of committees and things like that. So that absolutely we can work and kind of switch over those pages that were meant to really share what the project was about. To suggestion.
Yeah, thank you. Any other questions for facilities? No, thank you very much, Emily. Finance Committee, Galen.
Okay, thank you, Seth. The Finance Committee met last Tuesday, February 23rd. It was at 5:30. It was a Zoom meeting. All three Board of Ed members were present, Emily, Diane, and I. Dr. Cook, Bill McMinn, our Facilities Director, was also present, as well as Stacy Novitz, our Finance Director. Much of what I'm going to say has been previously covered in the Facilities and General report. We discussed end of year funds. Stacy is estimating that we have approximately $700,000 available, consisting mostly of salary accounts and savings. And the committee made a motion to recommend that this be a line item transfer to do some of the work that Bill talked about, the Polson Courtyard and classrooms, the asbestos abatement, and purchase of new furniture. We discussed implications from the referendum, including that as the Daniel Hand debt comes off the books, any new debt we incur for the referendum, I think will go on the town budget as opposed to the Board of Education or district budget. And we concluded with a review of the calendar. As you know, tomorrow night there's a Board of Education, Board of Finance budget presentation. There are budget workshops on March 16th and 23rd. I believe that's Board of Selectmen, Board of Finance. We have on April 25th a public hearing for the budget, and our budget referendum is May 16th. There were no public comments, and our next finance committee meeting is, I guess, on the Ides of March. March 15th. Good report.
Any questions for Galen? Seeing none, thank you very much, Galen. Personnel Committee, Maureen.
The personnel committee hasn't met, so we don't have an update today.
Okay, we do have a meeting coming up. Tomorrow evening. One of our negotiations is kicking off, so we will be spending a lot of time the next couple of months working on that. So, Policy Committee, Diane.
The policy committee met on February 15th. We discussed multiple policies. Some of them you will find in your packet tonight. So I'll go through, first of all, we have 3 policies that are for their second reading tonight, and that's the bylaw 9600, 9640, and 9660. So those are for second reading tonight. They will go for a third reading and action at our next regular board of ed meeting. Then for tonight, you have first readings for policy number 5113, which is student attendance truancy and chronic absenteeism. Then we also have 5113R. So if you look in your policy notes, it actually talks about policy 5113, but those changes that it's referring to where Shipman has revised the policy in order to conform with public acts, that is for the regulation. The policy 5113 that we are looking at as a first read tonight is only, the changes are only for legal references. So the rest of the policy notes regarding 5113 is referring to the regulation, which we do not vote on. And that is just to make sure that we are in compliance with the public acts that Connecticut has made law. Then we have the first reading, 5121, chemical health for student athletes. This is a new policy for adoption, so this is a first read. This discusses, so we revised the policy slightly before it came to you. So during the first read, we added in the tobacco products. We also wanted to make sure that the professional employee definition included social workers, psychologists, and we added in athletic trainers. And we requested guidance from Shipman and Goodwin regarding these questions and changes. So these revisions were made and it's in your packet for first read for tonight. And this is a brand new policy. And so I do want to bring to your attention that for the second, but when we do the third reading for the bylaws of 9600, 9640, and 9660, those will be voted on first. And if they are passed, then the first reads that you have tonight will be a second read and action at the same meeting, because it will then be changed from 3 readings to 2. So I just want to bring that to your attention. And then we also have first readings for policies 5131.911, which is bullying prevention and intervention, and 5131.914, which is the safe school climate policy. These were actually recently revised, but we had to revise them again because we had to conform with the Connecticut law and acts that changes were made and they recently went into effect. So the only changes there were just to conform with the current Connecticut laws and acts. And then we have a new regulation, 5125R, that is called immunizations. That's in your packet. It is a regulation, so it's not up for a vote, and we just included the 2 regulations in the packets for your information to read and review. And then in our meeting, we actually discussed several policies, which you'll see at the next meeting. We actually voted to move them forward to the board at first because we thought we could add in some minor changes, but the wording was a bit too difficult. We couldn't just cut and paste, no matter how hard we tried. So it has to go back to committee for final revision, and you'll see it the next time. And the report.
Thank you. Any questions for Diane? Questions for policy? Seeing none. Thank you very much, Diane. Learn liaison, Mary Ann.
Yes, so I met 2 weeks ago, February 10th. Met with the superintendent from Groton. had a very nice presentation. It's really fun to meet the different superintendents and get a perspective of their schools and great schools. Yeah. And mostly we talk and learn about their budget and how they're moving forward with the magnet schools. There's an option for people to go visit them, which I'm going to try and do, at least see one or two of them when they have open houses now that COVID is a little bit better. That was basically it for the whole, until the end, when we did discuss everyone's school policies when it came to masking and unmasking. And that took, quite a bit of time. And we'll be meeting in 2 weeks, a week from second Thursday. I also wanted to say that the Adhoc Committee met for marijuana this week with the Board of Selectmen and a group of citizens that are on it. I wasn't able to attend, I was out of town, but I did get the act concerning this responsible and equitable regulation of adult use cannabis, and that's what I gave everyone. So you can look through that, it's very interesting. And I did meet with Bruce Wilson today because I hadn't gone to the meeting and I wanted to know what else went on. And basically, he gave me just a synopsis of what I gave to you. So it tells you exactly in here, you have to read it a couple of times, tells you what the next step will be. Nothing has been done. They will have an open hearing. Hearing will come where people can come and say what they want, but it's pretty straightforward as to what we can do in this town. So it'll be interesting for you to read, and as soon as we have another meeting, I'll
Thank you so much. Any questions on either Learn or the Cannabis Committee? No questions. Mary Ann, just to let you know and inform everybody else, I did speak with Dr. Cook earlier today. We're going to add those 2 ad hoc committees that you and Emily serve on as liaisons for the Board of Ed onto the end of our committee and liaison reports in every agenda. So you can either say, nothing to report, or you can report, but you'll have a formal space on the agenda. Thank you. Okay, so moving on to the number 10 action item. I need a motion to adopt the art curriculum for grades 6, 7, 8, sculpture, drawing 1, drawing 2 studio, painting studio, short film, and commercial photography. That comes out of the curriculum committee with its recommendation. I need a motion and then we could discuss if there's any discussion.
So
That's from Kathy, okay.
a second.
Seconded by Mary Ann. Thank you. Any discussion?
I have something to say.
Yes, go ahead.
So I think I would be more comfortable in the future with curriculum changes if they weren't presented and voted on in the same evening, much like when we do policy. If we have a policy to discuss and we have a policy committee the same night as the Board of Ed meeting, nothing that comes out of that committee that night goes to the Board of Ed that night. There's like a 48-hour wait. And I think it gives the board time to digest what's been presented, to formulate questions if they have any that might not be immediately, present. It just gives us a little bit of time to really think things through and have questions. And I don't have any problem with the curriculum tonight, but I just think for future reference, I would like to see a little bit of a wait period. So like maybe they could present to the curriculum committee and then the curriculum reports on it, and then we can discuss it, and then it would be voted at the next meeting. And so that's my comment.
Sounds very reasonable from my perspective. Just,
Why do you seem surprised?
yeah, no, I mean, no, not at all. It does occur to me, and I absolutely agree with you that it would allow board members to have to formulate their independent thoughts, to raise any additional questions that they might have, and for people to feel comfortable that they understand what they're voting on as board members before they have to vote. So I think that's a friendly suggestion. So what does, I mean,
Obviously, if there's something where it's urgent, or it's like in a timely fashion that needs to be done, that can be taken into consideration, but just for general.
yeah, we always have the right for someone to move at a live meeting, to vote on something quickly because it needs to be passed quickly for whatever reason, and then we can discuss that reason and determine whether we really need to pass it that night or not. So I think with that safety net, maybe we as a board can talk about adopting that as now, would we adopt that as a bylaw, as a policy? Or is that just a convention?
How they always discuss like tonight and then, or does this go on for a while before?
In the past, the curriculum committee would really do most of the work and just do a quick report and everyone would just kind of vote on it. That's kind of, we, as board members, we need to rely on the committee process to process a lot of this stuff because we can't all be mavens on every subject that comes up. And but I think it's reasonable, especially with curriculum, that's a longer process and it's a cycle. Maybe it does make sense for us to just pump the brakes for a half a minute and vote on it the next meeting. No.
Also, having been on the curriculum committee before, sometimes there's a lot of stuff presented in one meeting. It's a lot to process.
Yeah.
And then to refer it that night to say, yes, we should vote yes on this. Not that there's anything glaringly wrong, it's a pause.
So I will look into this offline with Craig and we can determine whether this needs to be a bylaw change or whether we can just do this by convention. In the meantime, the rule still is the way it is, and you mentioned you would not, necessarily have a problem with voting on this particular set of curriculum tonight. So why don't we, my suggestion, I guess, would be, it's on for an action item. There was a very thorough report, thanks to Stephen. Do we want to go ahead and vote on this one tonight? And then Craig and I will report back as to whether that needs to be a bylaw or whether we'll just change our convention moving forward.
Sounds like a great plan.
Yes.
I'd like to underscore, I think Diane makes an excellent point, I think for a variety of reasons. The board needs to feel comfortable and not feel like there's an action item that's already engraved in the evening, if there's adjustments or other things that may need to be made. So I would agree that, in providing space. Tonight, I think we should approve this. But going forward, if board members feel comfortable that we should be able to give time to these things.
Any other thoughts on that? Hearing none, and any other subject matter or substantive discussion on this? No? All right, so I'm gonna call it, I got a motion. So I'm gonna call it for a vote. All in favor of adopting the art curriculum, say aye, raise your hand, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Any abstentions? Motion carries 9-0. Thank you. Next action item. I need a motion to approve the minutes of the February 8th, 2022 Board of Ed meeting.
So.
Diane, second from Maureen. And I know that an amendment was sent in. Diane noticed that the word needed to be changed. Wendy took note of that. Do you just want to say real quick what that was? It was changing.
Oh, it was, I don't remember now.
We're changing one, yeah, it was changing the form.
It was a form of word.
Yeah, so it didn't really have much of a substantive meaning.
Yeah, it was just, and there was said to waive the first reading instead of waiving the second reading.
Yes,
Semantics.
okay, so I'm gonna can I assume that that motion was to approve the minutes as amended?
Yes.
Yes, okay, so it's a friendly amendment to this motion. All in favor of approving the minutes as amended, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Any abstentions? Seeing none, motion carries 9-0. Thank you. And I have to say, hearing 9-0 or any 9 members of the board voting does my heart justice, because I want to thank you guys again. You guys have been the most well-attended board that I've ever been a part of. And I know it's a lot of work and it's a lot of commitment. And thank you all for being here to take these votes. It's special. Thank you. Next item, future agenda items. Any recommendations or anything for future agenda items? Seeing none. Meetings and dates of importance are in your packet. Please make sure to watch the meeting appointments these days, because with everything going on with the budget and several other, with the school renewal project and all of that, there's going to be a plethora of meetings to keep track of. We appreciate keeping on top of that. I need a motion to adjourn.
Well, I just want to say, I
Yeah.
noticed there was something in the Q&A earlier
Oh,
that we
what's
didn't
that?
grab. I just saw the,
It was a comment. that
Oh, okay.
I took note of, that I will.
Response.
I'm not sure if you guys can see that.
do, but
I can't really see it.
I'm not gonna pretend to be able to do
Yeah, could you just read it? And
Sure.
It's an anonymous.
This is from an anonymous attendee who states, I missed public comments. Now that masks aren't a thing, are we supposed to protest something new? Lead paint, peanut allergies, non-ethically treated trees used for paper in schools.
So,
okay,
kind of.
thank you.
You're welcome.
And all right, so I need a motion to adjourn.
So,
So moved from Diane and seconded by Maureen. All in favor of adjourning, say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Abstentions, none. 9-0. Yeah. Exactly.
Randy
I
should
should have held out
have
for a couple more.